Hello everyone, let's dive straight into prompt engineering. The formal definition of prompt engineering is the process of structuring and refining text inputs to large language models to ensure the generated output is accurate, relevant, and aligned with a specific business objective. In plain everyday English, it is learning how to give clear instructions to a very smart but literal assistant. You see, the AI is like a brilliant intern who has read every book in the world but has zero common sense about your specific office. If you just say, write an email, the AI might write a poem about flowers instead. Imagine you are at a sandwich shop. If you just say, make me a sandwich, you might get peanut butter and tuna. Technically a sandwich, but not what you wanted. Prompt engineering is how we tell the shop exactly what bread, meat, and sauce we need to get the perfect lunch. Stay with me here, because the better your prompt, the less time you spend fixing the AI's mistakes. You've probably seen this at the office where two people ask the same tool for help, but one gets a perfect report while the other gets a mess. The difference is the prompt. Let's break this down together. We are moving from guessing to directing. So now that we have mastered the idea that a prompt is just a detailed set of instructions, you might be wondering what specific parts you need to include to make those instructions foolproof. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is defining persona and context. This brings us to persona and context. The technical documentation describes this as the practice of assigning a specific role and situational background to the AI model to narrow its focus and dictate the tone and expertise level of its response. To speak naturally, it is giving the AI a character and a backstory. If the AI knows who it is supposed to be, it knows how to talk. Imagine a dummy example. You want the AI to explain a technical error to a customer. If you don't give it a persona, it might sound like a robotic textbook. But if you tell it, you are a friendly, empathetic customer support lead with 10 years of experience in hospitality, the AI will start using words like, I understand, and let's get this fixed for you. You've probably noticed at the office how you change your own voice depending on whether you are talking to the CEO or your work best friend. We are teaching the AI to do the same thing. Let's break this down together. We are setting the stage so the AI knows exactly which brain to use for the task. So, now that we have mastered how to give our AI a personality and a reason for being, you might be wondering how to make sure it follows your specific company rules without wandering off topic. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is grounding and constraints. Now we need to talk about grounding and constraints. The formal definition says, grounding is the technique of providing specific reference data, like a document or a set of facts, that the model must use to generate its answer, while constraints are the negative instructions that tell the model what not to do. In simple everyday English, it's giving the AI an open book test and some ground rules. We want the AI to stay inside the lines. Think of a dummy example. You are building a bot for a travel agency. You give it your 2026 summer catalog as the grounding data. Then you add a constraint. Do not mention any hotels that are not in this catalog and do not offer discounts over 10%. Now, the AI won't accidentally promise a free trip to Mars just because it read about it on the internet. Stay with me here, because this is how we keep the AI honest and safe. You've probably seen this when you tell someone, tell me the news but don't mention sports. That is a constraint. Let's break this down together. We are building a fence around the AI so it stays productive. So now that we have mastered how to give the AI the right books to read and a fence to stay within, you might be wondering how to show it exactly what a good answer looks like. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is few shot prompting and examples. This brings us to few shot prompting. The technical documentation defines this as a technique where you provide the model with a few examples of input and output pairs within the prompt to demonstrate the desired pattern, format, or logic it should follow. In plain language, it is the show and tell method. Instead of just describing what you want, you show it. Imagine a dummy example. You want the AI to turn messy customer notes into a clean table. You don't just say make a table. You give it an example. Note, Sachin wants 5 red pens. Table, item, red pens, quantity 5, customer, Sachin. When you show it 2 or 3 of these shots, the AI thinks, aha, I see the pattern. You've probably noticed at the office how much faster a new teammate learns when you show them a finished version of a report instead of just explaining it. That is few-shot prompting in action. Let's break this down together. We are using examples to remove the guesswork. So now that we've mastered how to show the AI the patterns we like, you might be wondering how to make sure the AI thinks through a difficult problem instead of just blurting out the first thing that comes to mind. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is chain of thought prompting. Let's dive into chain of thought prompting. The formal definition describes a method where the prompt encourages the model to break down a complex task into intermediate steps or logical reasoning stages before reaching a final conclusion. To put it very simply, it is asking the AI to show its work. We want to see the math in its head. Imagine a dummy example. You ask the AI to calculate the total cost of a project with tax, shipping, and a bulk discount. If you just ask for the total, it might make a small error. But if you add the phrase, let's think about this step by step, the AI will write out. Step 1, calculate the base price. Step 2, apply the 10% discount. Step 3, add the 5% tax. By forcing it to slow down and go step by step, it becomes much more accurate. You've probably noticed at the office how you are less likely to make a mistake on a big project if you write out a checklist first. We are giving the AI that same checklist. Let's break this down together. We are turning the AI into a logical thinker. So now that we have mastered how to make our assistant think carefully and step by step, you might be wondering how to take all these pieces and combine them into a reusable template that your whole company can use. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is building and testing prompt templates in AI Builder. Finally, we reach prompt templates and iterative testing. This technical area focuses on creating standardized prompts within AI Builder that use dynamic variables, placeholders for things like a customer's name or a specific question, and then testing those templates with different data to ensure they work every time. In a relaxed classroom tone, it simply means creating the perfect recipe. Once you find a prompt that works, you don't want to type it over and over. You save it as a template. Imagine a dummy example. You build a late payment reminder template. You leave a blank spot for the customer name and the amount owed. Now, your app can just plug in those details and the AI generates a perfect, polite reminder every time. Let's break this down together. As builders, we are creating scalable intelligence. We've looked at the clear instructions, the character backstory, the open book test, the show and tell method, the step-by-step logic, and finally creating the perfect recipe. We've mastered prompt engineering for intelligent application logic. You now know how to talk to AI in a way that gets real professional results. Well, that brings us right into our next chapter.